United States, meanwhile, said that Biden administration is monitoring the PLA exercise around Taiwan. The Biden administration, in a statement, urged the Chinese government to avoid any further actions that may jeopardize peace and stability across the Taiwan Strait and in the broader region. It further said, no justification for military exercises and pressure campaigns in response to a routine annual speech. The U.S. reiterated its one China policy has not changed. The U.S. said it opposes unilateral changes to the status quo from either side and support cross-strait dialogue. The U.S. further said it expects cross-strait differences to be resolved by peaceful means. Well, to talk more on this, I've been joined by Mohan Kumar. He is a former senior diplomat. Sir, a very warm welcome to the broadcast. Now, I want to know, first of all, was it on the cards? Because some experts say it was.
Well, I think if you agree with the theory that the Chinese will tend to pick an opportunity when the world is busy elsewhere, that the focus is so much on what is happening in the two theaters of conflict, which is Ukraine and the other, which is West Asia, that you should have expected trouble in Indo-Pacific. Also, Chinese have been incrementally doing things in Indo-Pacific. So it's not the Chinese style to really do something dramatic. What they are doing is incrementally ratcheting up the pressure in Indo-Pacific. And that will result in a situation where countries...
What is it signifying, sir? If they are mounting pressure, what is it signifying?
I think it signifies the new assertive China. And China wants to test out the United States as to whether the US is capable of handling three theaters at the same time. You said in your statement that the US is monitoring the situation. Well, the Chinese would like to know whether you are merely going to monitor the situation or will you act? Because that is what they want to know. So that if there is a move that is being planned by China, let's say in Taiwan or the South China Sea or the East China Sea, they would like to have a good fix on whether the US will really...
So these are provocative actions for the United States as well, sir. This is what you're saying?
Absolutely, because these are US allies, essentially.
So
the US is duty bound to come to the help of Philippines or Japan or even Taiwan for that matter. They can't keep quiet. The United States cannot keep quiet. I think what the Chinese are doing is pushing the envelope as much as possible to try and see where the red line is there for the United States. That's what they're trying to test out.
Okay. So, sir, you're trying to say that this is a deliberate action to see US's reaction at a time when US is busy in two other fronts.
Oh, 100%. That's what I'm saying. I'm merely saying that they are testing out whether the US is capable of handling three theaters at the same time. There is the Ukraine theater, there is the West Asia theater. And God forbid if something happens in Indo-Pacific, will the United States be really able to respond substantially or meaningfully? That's what the Chinese want to know. And they will keep pushing the envelope until they get a reaction from somewhere. So we will have to wait and see. But these are provocative actions, without a doubt.
Yeah, correct. Sir, as far as military drills are concerned, do you see something big coming from China? They have already described it as stern warning to Taiwan.
No, on the military drill and the warning thing, I think the Chinese will continue to do what they do and then keep saying that, listen, this is a warning, please be careful, etc. But I think the whole approach of China is to see how much they can push the envelope. That's why I keep using that expression. The Chinese want to be clear as to how they can push their claims under the 9-dash line. Anything that is a pushback against the 9-dash line will be considered weakness on the part of China. Now, more and more countries which insist on the United Nations Convention on the Law of the Sea, the tribunal which ruled against the 9-dash line, all that is a problem for China. And the Chinese, therefore, cannot win legally the concept of a 9-dash line.
Okay, okay.
Can they do it in actual practice? So de jure, you cannot win, but can you win in practice? And that is what the Chinese are trying to do. So legally, they may have lost it because of the UNCLOS and so on. But ownership, as you know, is 90% of property. So in terms of maritime lines, can China try and see if they can actually change the facts on the ground? That is the attempt by China. They will not do it all at one go. They will do a bit of nibble and gobble here, a bit of nibbling there, and therefore they have 2 or 3 theaters where they will play around with. But I think the whole attempt by China is to see, can we change the facts on the ground irreversibly, so that one fine morning you wake up and find, after all, even during Obama's time, there was a commitment to the United States that the Chinese will not have artificial installations, so on, in the South China Sea. They went ahead anyway. They went ahead and have built artificial installations, landing strips, and so on. So these are all parts of an attempt to create facts on the ground which cannot be changed later. So that I see this as a part of a grand design, really, by China to change the facts on the ground.
Okay, grand design by China. All right. Sir, Taiwan's defense ministry said it strongly condemns the drills as an unreasonable provocation, like you were also mentioning earlier, by China, and said that it has dispatched its own forces. How effective do you think are Taiwan's defense strategies when it comes to countering potential threats from China?
I think for Taiwan, the main thing is virtue signaling, really. I don't believe you should expect Taiwan to contest China all by itself. But I think what Taiwan is doing is signaling to China that, listen, your attempts have not gone unnoticed, that we will not keep quiet. But that's all that Taiwan can do. You cannot expect Taiwan to do much more. But what I expect the Taiwanese authorities to do at this stage is to keep in touch with the Americans, and they will have briefed the Americans about these drills. They would have briefed the Americans about actions by China. And we will have to wait and see how the U.S. reacts to it. I mean, it's not just U.S. monitoring the situation. We will have to wait for a more substantive statement by the national security spokesperson in Washington, D.C. And we will have to see what actions the U.S. will take. Will they move aircraft carriers down to South China Sea and so on? That will be the next step, and that was what will actually be interesting to watch.
All right. Thank you so much, sir, for joining in on the broadcast.